will take the more difficult route, that will jeopardize the standing of the British royal family if they have to do.
The gilded gates of Buckingham Palace have long stood as a symbol of unwavering stability, a fortress of tradition that has survived wars, revolutions, and the relentless march of time. But behind those heavy oak doors, a different kind of battle is being waged, one that doesn't involve cannons or swords, but whispers, leaks, and the cold, calculated sting of public betrayal. For decades, the British monarchy operated under a simple, ironclad rule: never complain, never explain. It was a mantra that kept the secrets of the crown safe within its stone walls. But everything changed when a Hollywood actress entered the fold, bringing with her a whirlwind of modern ambition that clashed violently with the centuries-old machinery of the institution. The world watched in awe as the fairy tale began, but very few saw the cracks forming in the foundation. This wasn't just a cultural clash. It was a fundamental breakdown of trust that has now left the royal family in its most precarious position since the abdication of 1936. The tension between Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and the rest of the Windsor clan has shifted from a private family dispute into a global media spectacle, a soap opera played out on the world stage where the stakes are nothing less than the survival of the monarchy itself. King Charles, a man who waited his entire life for the crown, now finds his reign overshadowed by the constant noise of his youngest son's grievances. Prince William, once the inseparable partner to his brother, now stares across a vast, unbridgeable canyon of resentment. The betrayal felt by the palace isn't just about the interviews or the memoirs. It's about the systematic dismantling of the firm's dignity. Every secret shared with a television host, every private conversation leaked to a biographer, is a dagger aimed at the heart of the establishment. The palace officials, the men in gray suits, as Princess Diana famously called them, are now working overtime to protect a legacy that seems to be slipping through their fingers. They see a couple who wants the prestige of the title without the duty of the service, a duo that has traded their royal birthright for a seat at the table of American celebrity. But at what cost? The British public, once enamored by the youthful energy of the Sussexes, has grown weary of the constant victimhood narrative. The irony is palpable. While Harry and Meghan claim they sought privacy, they have remained the loudest voices in the room, ensuring that their names are never far from the headlines. This is a game of high-stakes chess where every move is scrutinized by millions. The king's recent health struggles should have been a moment of unity, a chance for the prodigal son to return and heal the wounds of the past. Instead, it became another flashpoint for controversy, a brief visit that lasted mere minutes, leaving more questions than answers. Is the rift truly permanent? Can the House of Windsor survive this internal rot? As we look deeper into the archives and the recent movements of the Sussex camp, a chilling pattern emerges. They are not just building a new life, they are building a rival court, a shadow monarchy that threatens to undermine the very authority of the king. The accusations of racism, the claims of neglect, and the televised tears have created a narrative that the palace finds almost impossible to combat without breaking their code of silence. This is the invisible war, a conflict where the casualties are reputations and the prize is the loyalty of the next generation. The world is taking sides, and the middle ground is disappearing. As the shadows lengthen over the royal estates, one thing is certain: the fairy tale is dead, and in its place is a cold, hard reality of a family torn apart by ambition and ego. This is only the beginning of the end for the relationship we once thought was unbreakable. The bond between a future king and his spare was once thought to be the strongest anchor of the British monarchy, a partnership forged in the shared trauma of their mother's tragic passing. We all remember the image of two young boys walking behind a coffin, a moment that etched them into the hearts of billions. But that image has been shattered, replaced by a cold, calculating rivalry that has turned brothers into bitter enemies. Prince William, the heir to the throne, now views his brother not as a sibling, but as a strategic threat to the very institution he is destined to lead. The palace walls, once a sanctuary for their shared secrets, have become the front lines of a sophisticated media war. It wasn't just a single argument over a bowl of dog food or a heated exchange about bridesmaids' dresses. It was a fundamental divergence of paths. William chose the path of duty, tradition, and the quiet dignity required by the crown, while Harry chose a path of radical transparency, or what the palace calls a scorched-earth policy of public betrayal. The internal briefings from Kensington Palace suggest a level of anger that the public rarely sees. William, known for his controlled demeanor, is reportedly incandescent with rage over the way his wife, Catherine, has been dragged into the Sussexes' narrative. For the future king, family loyalty is non-negotiable, and by breaking the code of silence, Harry didn't just leave the family, he declared war on it. The strategy from the California camp has been clear: to paint the royal establishment as a cold, racist, and outdated machine, while positioning themselves as the enlightened victims of a cruel system. But this tactic has backfired in the hallowed halls of Windsor. Every time a new documentary drops or a new chapter is published, the iron shutters of the palace close even tighter. There is a growing sense among royal insiders that Harry and Meghan have become the new Wallace Simpson and Edward VIII, ghosts of the past that represent the ultimate danger of choosing personal desire over national service. The media maneuvers are breathtaking in their complexity. On one side, we have the sophisticated PR machine of the palace, masters of the slow leak and the strategic briefing. On the other, we have the high-gloss, Hollywood-style campaigning of the Sussexes, who use emotional storytelling to bypass traditional journalism. This isn't just a family row, it's a battle for the soul of the British brand. As King Charles tries to navigate the early years of his reign, he finds himself caught between his love for a son and his duty to protect the monarchy. The decision to evict the couple from Frogmore Cottage was more than just a real estate move. It was a symbolic severing of the final umbilical cord connecting Harry to his homeland. The whispers in the corridors of power suggest that William is the one driving the hardline approach. He sees any concession to the Sussexes as a sign of weakness that could embolden more attacks. The trust is not just broken, it has been pulverized into dust. When Harry returned for the king's coronation, the lack of eye contact between the brothers spoke volumes, a silence louder than any shout. The world watched as the spare was relegated to the third row, hidden behind the plumes of hats, a physical manifestation of his new status as an outsider. Meanwhile, in Montecito, the narrative continues to evolve. They speak of their truth, a phrase that grates on the ears of those who believe there is only one truth, the one documented by history and tradition. The accusations of planting stories have created a paranoid atmosphere where no one knows who to trust. Every staff member is a potential leaker, every private dinner a potential source for a future Netflix special. This constant state of high alert has exhausted the royal household. They are dealing with a rival court that operates without the constraints of protocol or the fear of parliamentary oversight. It is a dangerous precedent. If the Sussexes can monetize their royal connections while attacking the source of their fame, what stops others from doing the same? The fear is that the monarchy is being turned into just another reality show, a commodity to be traded for multi-million-dollar deals. William knows that the survival of his future reign depends on maintaining the mystique of the crown, a mystique that Harry seems intent on destroying. As we move closer to the heart of this conflict, we must ask, is there any room left for forgiveness, or has the blood feud gone too far? The bridge isn't just burning, the very pillars that held it up have been dismantled, piece by piece, by the hands of those who were supposed to protect them. The twilight of the British monarchy's old guard has arrived, and with it comes a cold, definitive realization: some wounds are too deep to be healed by time alone. As we look toward the future, the distance between the historic stones of Westminster and the sun-drenched hills of California feels like an infinite void. The palace has moved from a state of crisis management to a state of permanent exclusion. This is no longer a temporary cooling-off period. It is the drawing of a final iron curtain. King Charles, in his quiet moments, is said to be heartbroken, but the crown he wears is heavier than his personal grief. He understands that the survival of the 1,000-year-old institution depends on its perceived stability and unity. Every time the Sussexes attempt to re-enter the royal orbit through public PR stunts or calculated statements, they find the doors increasingly barred. The era of negotiation is over. The firm has decided that its future lies with a streamlined, dedicated core: William, Catherine, and their children. The message is loud and clear: you cannot be half in and half out. In the high-stakes game of global influence, Harry and Meghan are finding that without the active support of the monarchy, their brand is losing its luster. The initial shock of their accusations has worn thin, replaced by a public that is increasingly cynical about the endless cycle of grievance. They are discovering that in Hollywood, you are only as good as your last hit, and when your only hit is attacking your own family, the audience eventually turns away. Meanwhile, Prince William is preparing for a reign that will be defined by its resilience. He is no longer the grieving boy. He is a man of steel who has seen the inner workings of his family used as ammunition against him. His vision for the future does not include a seat for those who have profited from the destruction of his privacy. The ultimate tragedy is not just the loss of a brother, but the loss of what could have been a modern, dynamic duo working together to lead a changing nation. Instead, We are left with a fractured legacy and a cautionary tale for the ages. As the world watches, the British royal family is undergoing a painful transformation, shedding its old skin to survive in a new, more judgmental era. The shadows of the past will always linger, but the sun is setting on the Sussex's royal status. They are being slowly erased from the official narrative, reduced to footnotes in the grand history of the House of Windsor. This is the final chapter of a saga that began with a wedding and ended with a wall. There are no heroes here, only survivors. As we look at the empty chairs at royal ceremonies, we are reminded that power comes with a price, and sometimes that price is the very family you were born to protect. The crown will continue, the parades will go on, and the bells of the Abbey will still ring, but the silence from California will remain a permanent echo of what happens when ambition collides with an immovable tradition. The war is over, the lines are drawn, and the monarchy moves forward, leaving the ghosts of betrayal behind in the dust of history.